Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.
The Rock and Review is catching up with the incredible singer, songwriter, guitarist, sometimes pianist for the hit band with over 40 million albums sold. Kevin Cronin with REO Speedwagon. Thanks for joining us, Kevin.
Oh man, great to be here.
You know, I've so been enjoying, it's like you and I were talking earlier before we started the show, but like you guys really have come into your own again this year thanks to the show Ozark.
Well, the Ozark people definitely did us righteously. When I first heard about it, man, I had heard of the show Ozark, but when they contacted us, they pitched us to be playing on a riverboat in a lake, and I'm like, man, I don't know if that's the look that we're going for the band, but it was my kids, I just ran it by them. I go, have you seen the show Ozark? They're like, Dad, it's awesome. It's the best show ever. So then I started binging it on the tour bus, got totally hooked. And of course, then they also said that my character was going to have to agree to launder money for a Mexican drug cartel. I'm like, and here's the thing, man. All the other characters in the show are fictional. Like,
right.
Jason Bateman is not really Marty Byrde. I mean, it's like,
right.
but for me, it was like, hello, Kev. We got an offer here to launder, and I'm like, I'm fairly, I pride myself, at least recently, as being strictly nonfiction, you know what I mean? But it was great. And they couldn't have treated us better,
Well, and it was just amazing to me also, as a fan of Ozark also, to where the episode was named after you. And then, your songs that were featured on Ozark, 4 of your songs are back on the charts in 2020. And these are, obviously, platinum, hit songs that you've had over the years. But I thought, what a great way to bring you forward into today with your music.
It was really cool. I mean, the thing is, you're from Missouri, so you know better than anyone that if, a show like Ozark, which is based, in and around the Lake of the Ozarks, REO Speedwagon was kind of the perfect band to have in the episode, because that's the heart of REO Speedwagon country, Missouri. The people of Missouri are the people that put us on the map between, St. Louis on one side of the state, Kansas City on the other side. There's Springfield, Columbia, all those, Cape Girardeau, all those other great Missouri cities. And it was all because of kind of KC Radio. KC Radio started playing us, and so
you can't go wrong with KC and Sweet.
Can't go wrong.
It's funny because all my St. Louis friends still wear the T-shirts.
I got them myself.
But and you and I were talking to where obviously I saw you guys in concert over the years. In the Cape Girardeau area, but also I was at that big show in 2000 when you guys were on tour once again with Styx, and you did Riverport, and you came out with the DVD and the CD, all this great music and everything, and totally sold out Riverport with your 2 bands playing.
Yeah, that was a special show, man. That was a special tour, because what was weird was that REO and Styx, both being Illinois bands, the Panazzo brothers and Dennis DeYoung, the original guys, are from Chicago, which is where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
We had never played a show together. REO had shared the stage with, name another band, and I would go, yep, played with them, yep. But for some reason, we had never played with Styx, and Tommy Shaw and I just happened to have dressing rooms next door to one another at a TV show that we were taping, and we got to talking, and Tommy and I have a lot in common. Tommy lived in Chicago for a while. It's a long story, but we were like, dude, we've never done a gig together. Let's try it. And so we did, and that tour in 2000 was the first REO Styx tour. And the key to it was that we decided from day one, first of all, the tour wasn't the idea of some agents and the tour started with Tommy Shaw and I hanging out at the Improv, watching a comedy show in LA. So, the seeds of the tour were pure,
Right.
and it all kind of grew from there. So we decided from day one that everything was equal. We would close half the shows, they would close half the shows, but we would have full stage space. So our crews had literally whoever went on in that middle slot had full headline stage space. So then they had to strike all the gear and bring on the next band's gear. So the crews had a really, bond as well as the bands. And we did so many amazing things in that tour, but the show that you saw where we recorded it, think about it. For one band to record a live album and live DVD is ridiculously, difficult. But
Right.
two bands on the same night, so it could only happen with two bands that really just work together well, and Tommy and I have remained friends, and he's not only one of the most talented guys I know, but one of the sweetest, most genuine people you'll ever want to meet. So, yeah, and a Nashville boy now.
Yeah, exactly. Because I bump into him here in Nashville. Well, I got to bring this up too. Speaking of Tommy, I saw him on an episode of your new series, Camp Cronin, and I love what you're doing with this show. In fact, I thought it was amazing, like with the Holly takeover, to where she cut your hair on one of the episodes too.
Obviously. No, with the COVID thing, man, it's like I'm not gonna go to get my hair cut, somewhere. Those places are dangerous. So so my hair was just, my hair's got a mind of its own anyway. So I try to find the silver lining to this craziness, and one of them is that I've not been home for an entire summer. I'm usually gone 80% of the time. And so this year I'm home for the whole summer. Plus my wife and I have 3 children, grown, but they're all home. 2 of them are in college studying remotely, and my daughter is working remotely. So we're all living here. And so I've always been, I didn't realize it, but I've always been kind of a part-time member of the family because I'm coming and going all the time. So the 4 of them have this bond, and it's not like I'm not part of the family, but over the past 6 months, I've really learned a lot, man, because my wife has brought up our children to be honest, forthright, what you see is what you get. They call each other out on their stuff, and so now that I'm here, I'm getting called out on stuff, which, it's challenging sometimes, man, but it's so good for me. And I'm realizing how I'm just, how my life has been kind of skewed a little bit by the fact that I'm the lead singer in a rock band that everybody kind of knows, and I'm on the road, I'm coming and going, I'm traveling. So this has been really, on a personal level, been really good for me. Well,
I got to bring this up too. Watching, I watched it. I got to tell you, it's kind of addictive. I started watching one of the episodes, and I think I ended up watching 5 of the episodes of Camp Cronin. But it's so much fun because obviously, you're in your living room space, in your house. You're talking with the camera and with the audience and the fans. You're playing songs. But I think what's really cool, Kevin, is that also you're giving history. You're giving, information behind the songs. You're sharing things that, a lot of your, biggest fans may not even know.
Yeah, well, thank you, man. Well, that's kind of, right after the tour got canceled, we have this nice little kind of guest house out in the back, and it was a mess. I have twin boys, and they have a band called Sir Please, a great young band, and their gear was like spread out all over this. It's a small little house out here, but it was trash. And my wife said, "You guys, you got to clean up. We call it the pool house. You got to clean up the pool house." So we cleaned up all their gear, pushed it over to the side, and I went, "Wait a second, this is nice," and so that's where I got the idea to just do a 15-minute segments with 1 or 2 songs in each segment, starting from the REOTWO record, which coincidentally we recorded right there in Nashville at the Columbia Studio in Music Row, which is actually now the space where Belmont University teaches its songwriting course. Because my boys were going to go there. I walked in during the tour. I walked in this room. I'm like, wait a minute, I know this room. This was the first album I ever made. I stood right here and sang those vocals, you know. So it's amazing, man, how life just, you know, it's a small world, you know. The music world is really small. And those of us who have been doing it a long time and have managed to survive, you know, people like Tommy Shaw and people like, you know, Donnie Barnes from 38 and I mean, the list goes on and on, you know. Those of us who have survived it, you bump into it, man. Yet all of a sudden, here I am standing in the, you know, 50 years later, standing in the room where I made my first record. It's mind-blowing.
It's just amazing. Well, and I got to bring up, too, I know you've been working on your book for like 3 years. And so obviously when everything gets back to a semi-normal, you know, when do you think the book will probably come out, Kevin?
That's a very good question. I mean, you know, the book was kind of what got me thinking about the way I did Camp Cronin, which is just to kind of tell the story in chronological order. Yeah, I started the book by accident back in December of 2016. I didn't mean to write a book. I just was kind of having a little mental freak out in my hotel room in Nottingham, England. And I just started journaling a little bit, and I've been writing it ever since. But, you know, I thought I was done in January. I promised myself that no matter what else happened you know, that was it. I wasn't going to, and then of course, you know, March 12th or March 13th, we pulled into Minneapolis, and I'm walking down the hallway of our hotel going to sound check, and I see our tour manager, and he's like, you know, the gear's already there, the trucks, the buses, the whole thing. He's like, yeah. Governor pulled the plug, no gatherings of over 500 people. And wow. Then the dominoes started dropping, and so it's like, well, I got to write about this experience, you know, this experience of being home over the summer. That's something that's really changed my life. So here I am. So now there's a PS at the end of the book, but I'm getting there. You know, it's you know, I want to get it right, and I don't want to. You know, I'm sure that the publishing company is going to assign me an editor eventually, but my cousin, who is a newspaper writer, his advice to me a long time ago was, and I was doing it anyway, but he said, make the book as good as you can before you turn it in. He goes, because the better it is when you turn it in, the better it's going to be when it's released. And the closer it is to being finished, the publishing company is going to not change it that much. So it's kind of like what we always did with records. You know, we'd go and rehearse. You know, our thing was always do it in the rehearsal studio. Be ready when you get to the recording studio, so you don't sit around and, you know, waste time in a recording studio. So I've kind of taken that same kind of mentality into the book, but I got to finish it. It's been 3.5 years, you know.
Well, Kevin Cronin from REO Speedwagon, thank you so much for joining the show. Can't wait to see more of Camp Cronin, the episodes, and also your Saturday shows with Holly's Picks. Those are fun as well. I want to make sure that our viewers go to your website, to your Facebook, and check these out. And we look forward to hearing details on your new book as well.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, I just want to say hi to everybody in Nashville. I've got so many great friends in Nashville. You know, my songs are published out of Nashville. So many great songwriters that I've worked with down there, and artists that I've you know, shared the stage with. I mean, one of my kind of proudest moments was when we played the Bridgestone a few years back. Mm-hmm. And you know, I'm friendly with Brad Paisley. Brad came down to the show, And it just turned out that Martina McBride was rehearsing in the production room.
Yeah.
And so I got word that Martina wanted to say hello. And so we went over there. It turned out that Martina and her husband, their song, quote, was Can't Fight This Feeling. So we're at the end of our show. Here comes Brad and Martina out on stage with me to sing the refrain on Roll With the Changes. So I'm standing there on stage, sold out Bridgestone Arena, Brad Paisley on one side, Martina McBride on the other side. I'm in the middle, singing Roll With the Changes. It's like, all right, life is good.
Well, I'll tell you what, and you guys keep selling it out. I can't wait to see you back on tour as well, Kevin. Thank you so much for coming on the Rock Interview, and congrats on everything you've got going.
Well, thank you, man. Thanks for the support, and we'll see you again someday. Let's do it again, all right?
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Sponsored by the Big 98, Nashville's #1 for new country and the home of the Bobby Bones Show.